Hey fellow Transformers fans, welcome to this episode of MP Squared Reviews. Thanks for coming back if you've been here before. Thanks for coming for the first time if you haven't been here before. I am Mike, your host, and I'm a little under the weather. I'm trying to get over this cold, so if I sound a little bit scratchy or I make little noises, I apologize. Today we're looking at G1 Sideswipe from DX9. This is Red Storm V1. There is a V2 that is either out or is coming out, I'm not sure which, but this is the first version. Most notably, you can tell by the blue headlamps on the chest. Let's do a quick rewind and see what other options we have had in the past. And there have been a total of 3 other options, so a total of 4 options now. And with Fans Toys version coming out eventually, Rambo, there will be 5. X-Transbots, I have not seen any news saying that they were going to be trying to come out with a Sideswipe, so I don't know if they'll jump into the fray with that as well, but that would make 6 if we do get one. Up until now, we have had the official G1 Sideswipe release from Takara Tomy, MP12 Lambor, which is actually cool because it is officially licensed by Lamborghini for the car mode, so it's an officially licensed Lamborghini product. Can't really go over Takara Tomy on that at all. Nobody else has that license for the Lamborghini design. After that, we have Bad Cube, Steamroll, and this design goes back a number of years. I don't know how old it actually is, but I think it looks pretty good. It's got a narrower chest than MP12, and I think that makes it more cartoon accurate. Before this review, I was thinking that I didn't really mind the way MP12 looked. It's kind of got that more IDW look, maybe a Studio Aux kind of look, than just the G1 version from the cartoon. But if you're looking for something that's more cartoon accurate, Bad Cube Steamroll seems to do a pretty good job. I'm not getting into actual comparisons between all of these, but I'm just bringing these to your attention to let you know that there have been other MP options over the years. And then additionally to Bad Cube, there is also a much less known brand. I mean, I don't even know what the brand is, to be honest. It's been advertised as Traus Formers, T-R-A-O-S Formers with 2 R's at the end. They actually label this guy Sideswipe on their packaging, but it doesn't actually show like an actual brand name, so it's been listed as BB7 with the model number BBQ03. So if you're looking for it, that's what you need to look for. It's available on Robo Toy Base last time I saw, and I think it's been available one other store as well. As you can see, this guy actually doesn't look horrible, but it doesn't really hit all the marks for cartoon accuracy. The wheels aren't shown on the legs, and the head, to me, maybe it's fine for cartoon accuracy, but it's a little bit too broad for me. Overall, not a bad go at this, but the cool thing about this too is that it actually transforms into a second mode, and you can swap out heads so you can have a completely different robot for your Transformers collection. So I'm going to keep this guy in my collection, and I think I'm going to name him Sidestep. So he's going to be like the stunt double or the decoy version of Sideswipe in the Autobot ranks. So back to DX9 Red Storm V1, and I'll put up the cartoon image to do a little quick comparison. I didn't really care for this guy too much when I decided to buy it. I was curious because other people were getting it and were showing it and were excited about it. And it did look good overall. There are some things about it that I question, like the purplish tone of the biceps and the forearms, as well as the gun. I guess they were probably trying to go for an ultra cartoon accuracy kind of thing, and they must have found some purple hue or something in an episode on the arms, but I think they could have just gone with white. But the more I played with this guy, the more I posed him. If you saw the teaser video for this, this guy is extremely posable, and he's fun to pose because there's nothing about him that's too overweight on any like particular extreme. So like his foot's not too heavy to balance out his upper body. His arms aren't so awkward or anything like that that you can't balance them against something else. So I think there's a lot of potential for posing this guy. And as you can see here in these number of poses, he is quite posable. So I am enjoying this character much more now that I've got him than before I knew how he handled. And I like his look overall. The blue headlamps I wish were white, but you can get that in the version 2. But you don't get the steel toes from version 2, so I don't know what the exact methodology here was for making one cartoon and one not, but this guy is pretty dang cool. So let's take a look at Red Storm V1 compared to the G1 animation design. Notably, lines on Red Storm's forearms are missing. He doesn't have the shoulder pauldrons or straps, if you want, across his trapezius there on the top of his shoulders. The design of the red forearm gauntlets are different. They don't have the line detail of the alt mode door panels. And the wheels on his legs are placed too high, which makes sense if we look at the back, because Red Storm's legs are upside down with no spoiler at the heels. It's interesting that DX9 gave up that bit of cartoon accuracy on the back of the legs there for their transformation. But overall, DX9 pulls off an excellent G1 representation of Sideswipe. And I think he does it in a good fashion, whether you like a more realistic aesthetic or you like a more cartoon aesthetic. DX9 packs Red Storm V1 with a really good array of weapons. We've got his gun, which is that's purple, like his biceps and forearms, for whatever reason. But nice detail there. They've got his shoulder cannon, and that goes on the peg on his left shoulder. I guess it could also go on the right, but there is a hand tab here for him to hold with his left hand, which might get in the way. Actually, I believe, yes, will get in the way of him having this cannon mounted on the left. Maybe you can still make it work, but I don't know. So that's primarily for his left shoulder. He's got these really cool war hammers, I guess, if you will, that actually combine a couple of his accessories that you might know from, I guess, IDW or other media, where he has some accessories that are in place of his hands, and they happen to be these ground pounders, which you can take off of both of these. They just pop out, and they pop onto his arms. And these chisels, or jackhammer blades, so you can have him do some jackhammer action. Very cool. And these handles do actually go down in size, so I suppose you could actually have him wield these as just melee stick weapons as well. And you could do them in either size. There you go. Good amount of weapons. Nice array of options for this release. So articulation. This guy's head has a ball joint, so you can do side to side. You can tilt up, although not too far up. It would be nice if you wanted to make him fly, if you could actually tilt his head back further, but you can't. At least not without, nope, I guess you really just can't. The side to side, he gets a little bound up on part of his build here in the back, so it starts to tilt his head when you swivel it. So if we try to just do a flat swivel, it starts to tilt up like that. So one thing I guess you can do also, if you wanted to make some more room, is open up the cheek flaps, which can be good for trying to make him look down, I suppose, if you needed to do that. But that's not really ideal. So him actually looking down, he can look down here like that for an extreme kind of human perspective, looking up at him. But he has a hard time doing that on the sides. He can only do so much without binding on this hinge here. And so that's kind of a bummer. A little bit of limited articulation in the head. Now the arms, they will go 360. So that's good. You can raise them, I think, can you? Yeah. So you can have them lower like this if you want to give him more of a streamlined shoulder look. But you can also raise them up like this so he has more of that heroic, big-shouldered football player look. And then when you do this, you get some binding here, so he can't raise his arm past 45 degrees because he's getting hung up on this hood. But if you do something, what did I do? I was able to do this so that it didn't do that. Oh yeah, there you go. So if you do lower the arm, then you can go out full 90. So just be aware that if you have this up like this, it's going to be hard to do this, and you can start messing up. Looks like I started messing up the plastic here a little bit on that corner. So don't do that. But you can lower the arm, and then you can raise it 90 degrees. So same on this side, 90 degrees. He's got his bicep swivel. He's got a double jointed elbow, but he'll only go up to about, that 45 degree mark. He can't go full 180, but that's all right. His torso swivel does let you swivel like this. No binding. And he does have an ab crunch. So you can make him do a full sit, really. Very cool. His fingers are not articulated fully. This thumb has these two joints. That's it. Right there, that swivel, and then this ball peg on the hand itself. These fingers are all molded together at the tips. So you can get knuckle articulation, but it's going to be with the whole hand. You can't do a single fingertip pointer with his hand, unfortunately. He's got these hip skirts here to allow motion for his legs, because he can do a really good soccer kick there. How about his Van Damme? He's got side skirts to come out here, and we can go, let's see, full Van Damme. Flaps up. Okay, flaps go way up. This one's binding for some reason. Not sure why. Okay. Interesting. Not sure why this one is. There we go. Oh, I had to make him bend forward a little bit. But if you make him bend forward a little bit, yes, he can do the Van Damme. And then as far as his motion for running, the butt flap does come up, and he can kick that leg pretty much 90 degrees, a little bit less than 90 degrees backward. This knee bends about 90 degrees, so that's good. This butt flap gets in the way of him kicking back a lot, but if you flip that up, then there's no real issue there, and he can get all sorts of flexible. Let's see, also these knees, he's got more than a 90 degree bend there. So I guess he does have more than a 90 degree bend back, just not as apparent as it is on this side, I guess. He has no knee twist, but he does have a hip twist, or rather a thigh twist. And the leg is actually not on a ball, so it rotates around. It'll spin, but it's not on a ball, so it's not like the most flexible. This is a cool thing. I like this knee flex. I had somebody tell me that they didn't like the bow-legged look that he can have, and you can give him a bow-legged look, but he doesn't have to have the bow-legged look. But it does make for, I think, just another option for posing him in more dynamic ways. So I really like that. I haven't gotten him into a full-on, like, meditating pose, but, look, here he can kind of like dance like he's got something on his foot, like he's trying to see if he's got gum on his shoe or something. But I like it. The toe tilt, he's got this tilt down, pretty dramatic. Not a lot of tilt up, but there is some, and I can show you on this foot maybe a little bit better. So there is quite a bit of down, and it ratcheted for some reason. So let's bring that back up. But not a whole lot up, but there is some. Toe swivel for days. Internal swivel or external swivel, whichever way you want to look at it, also for days. It does feel like it's binding on the shin piece here a little bit, so be careful of that. And just be aware you might mark it up. The gun. The gun does tab in, so there is a tab on the gun itself. So that's good to have. It is one-sided, so it's really only meant to go into the right hand. The lack of flexibility in the thumb is kind of a bummer because you can't get it to fully wrap around the handle, but it looks good fine. It looks fine regardless. You do have this swivel, whoops, gun just pivoted out. But you do have the hand swivel, which I did not mention before. However, it does bind on the back side of the arm here when the thumb collides. But you can do almost a 360. The cannon, I've found this to be a little bit of a bummer. I can't tilt it further than this, which is not bad because you can turn his head and still see his head looking sideways, so it doesn't obscure his vision necessarily to his left completely. But I would like this to be more able to flex back. And I'm wondering if maybe I just pop this pin out here on the cannon itself and reverse this attachment. Let's see. Let me get that out of there. There we go. If I just take this off of its post and reverse this, if perhaps I can get it to be the opposite direction, if it will give me some more angle to actually pivot back. So I don't know if I'll do that, but just an idea. I'm going to use a spudger here with a pencil point and get into that hole there and pull that out that way. I was having trouble doing that by hand. And just to be complete, there you go. That is the cannon on the right shoulder. It does actually fit there. It seemed to be not quite as secure as on the left shoulder because of that tab, but it does fit and it is on there and it will let you move it. And then just to show you the back side, it is pretty dang clean. There we go. Look at that. Nothing but robot. Not any kibble at all. Very clean. Alt mode. One note on the bot mode transformation is that the chest, I had a hard time plugging the chest into the abdomen. And I would just say that go ahead and play around with it. Be patient with it. Try to get this chest to fit together as seamlessly as possible. And then work on pressing this tab into the abdomen with a lot of force. I had to use a lot of force, but it did go in and it's fine, as you hopefully can see there. And it is flush with the abdomen like it should be. So that was key to making that chest really look right and to feel right from just my own collecting experience perspective, because, you know, when something shows you in the directions that you should be able to tab in and then it doesn't tab in, that's really frustrating and really not a good mark of quality, I don't think. So it does tab in. Just be patient, get it to fit nice and snug together here on the chest, and then tab that in. It is a very tight fit. All right, so this guy looks really good. He has some pieciness on the hood. As you can see there with that light, you can see pieciness there as it has to be pushed together here to create the entire width of the car. But one thing that is cool is that that tail is not split. That is just one piece. And, well, of course, there's hinges here, but, you know, it's not actually split down the middle like you'd expect for some feet and legs. And that is in contrast to MP12 Lambor, which is split in the back and on that fin, because the legs do come apart to create the feet, and they engineered it so that that spoiler does split. So that is kind of a cool change from the norm to actually have a spoiler that's not split. As you can see, there are a lot of details in the paint that MP12 has that DX9 does not. DX9 is definitely more of a cartoon accurate color scheme. It has some blue windows. The headlamps, I believe, are white in the animation design, and they're blue here. But I don't mind it in hand. I would have preferred them to be lighter lenses like the MP12 is. As you can see, the profile of the two, they're pretty similar. The official Takara Tomy is officially licensed by Lamborghini, and I think pulls off the overall sleek look and the lower look of Lamborghini because it's been the officially licensed one. But DX9's looks really good, and I don't think you can go wrong. That being said, I think you're in good position with DX9. It does have one thing over Takara Tomy, and that is the headlamps. These have headlamps here that are molded, but they do not actually open, whereas these ones, though they may be a little difficult to pry open, can be opened. So there you go. That is a cool difference. You can actually do a little bit more with the car mode with DX9 than you can with the MP12. Quick view of the underside. Here you go. Here's MP12. Looks pretty good. You can't see his head. Yeah, it hides the transformer parts pretty darn well. DX9, it's a little bit more recognizable, but also hides the parts quite well. That's the head, believe it or not. And yeah. As far as actual size goes, there's DX9. Here is MP12 above it. And if we put them on top of each other, we can see that they're roughly the same size. A little more width, I think, in MP12. One final note, just as a disclaimer, I'm pretty sure I bought a legitimate Takara Tomy MP12. However, I noticed in transforming this guy, he's missing black paint here on this intake, whereas he's not over on this side. So that's a pretty big oversight, which makes me actually wonder, was this an official issue or was this a knockoff that I got? But these wheels, as far as I know, for my copy anyway, are plastic and not rubber, whereas these wheels are actually rubber, and you can actually even peel them off the rims. So real rubber and not real rubber. Oh, and one last thing. There is something you can do with the weaponry on MP12 that you can't do with DX9. This was a throwback to the G1 toy, I believe, where you could actually put the two weapons together and mount them on the car for extra firepower in alt mode. I don't know that this was ever actually done in the cartoon, but it's something that's kind of cool that you can do for the nostalgia vibes at least. And DX9 does not have the capability of combining the gun and cannon or placing it on top of the roof, as far as I can tell. And if you want to look for yourself, there really is no place for that to happen. This looks like maybe you could press it in, but it doesn't seem to press in. And yeah. So, MP12's got something that DX9 doesn't. And once again, it is time for the Mixelpix MP scale comparison test. And this is the second video in which I'm going to actually bring in MP44 as our scale comparison. It's actually going to be a little illustrative in this case against MP10 to show how DX9 Red Storm V1 actually does stack up according to the animation model. There's going to be a little bit of a difference here between MP44 and MP10 as far as where DX9 Red Storm falls on their overall proportions. So MP44 and MP10, and if you don't believe that these are the exact same heights, you would be technically correct, but they are so close from their feet to their ears that they're practically the same size. And let's bring in Red Storm version 1 from DX9. And he is short compared to Optimus Prime, which is actually accurate, but how short is accurate? I have these two bots here because they are basically the same size from foot to ears, top of ears. However, their proportions are different. So we're gonna use their proportions to see where Sideswipe falls in comparison. For an objective view, I use the freelance graphic scale charts, which were researched by Mike Lorber. And if we look at that, here's Sideswipe from that scale. And if we bring in Optimus Prime from that scale as well, we can see that Sideswipe is only supposed to come up to about a third of the way up Optimus's hips. Taking a look at the toys, the top of his head actually comes up on the abdomen on both MP10 and MP44. However, it's closer to MP44's hips than it is MP10's because his hips are actually a little higher on the toy. Either way you look at it, no matter which Optimus you're going to go by, Red Storm is not small enough to be true scale to Optimus Prime. Kind of hard to imagine that Sideswipe should be even smaller than this compared to Optimus Prime, but according to the research that Mike Lorber has done for his freelance graphic charts, he should be. So whichever bot you want to use for scale comparison, DX9 Red Storm is technically still too large for actual MP scale, but he's good enough for my collection. So for my not so scientific assessment of this DX9 Red Storm V1 release, I'm going to use 8 grading categories: articulation, brochure, cartoon accuracy, engineering or transformation, materials, MP scale accuracy, playability, and sculpt. Alphabetically, starting with articulation, the posability seems amazing. He's got that extra sideways knee bend that I haven't seen, or can't recall at least, in the reviews that I've done up until now, which allows him to do a pose like this, where it looks like he's playing hacky sack. It's such a cool articulation, and it let me get him into a couple of poses, pretty quick. So I'm going to give him half a point extra for that. Articulation is unfortunately lacking in 4 other places. With his head articulation, his tilt up and down clearance is lacking. He has a somewhat limited head swivel. He has limited finger and thumb articulation on those hands, and he has no butterfly joints at the shoulders. So I'm going to take away half a point for each one of those. So he gets a total score of 8.5 out of 5 for articulation. Brochure, this might not seem like something super important, but for me, I really want it for my collection. It is something that I feel like I can keep more easily with my collection than having to download a video from a QR code and store it digitally. So the fact that this doesn't have a brochure, but it does have a QR code that leads to a transformation video, that's fine, but I am gonna give it only half marks for that. So this gets a 5 out of 10. Cartoon accuracy, the purple arms and gun. I thought this was a lack of accuracy, but according to the freelance graphics charts and this still image from tfwiki.net from the TV show that that color can actually be accurate to the character. So it's not that it's inaccurate, it actually adds to the accuracy. I was surprised to find. Unfortunately, it's missing those shoulder pads or straps across the trapezius on his shoulders. The head sculpt looks good, but is not 100% accurate in the details. And technically, the lower back legs are upside down. So for shoulder pads and inaccurate head sculpt, I'm going to minus a half a point each. And for upside down legs, I'm going to minus a full point. So cartoon accuracy has 8 out of 10. Engineering, this is a clever chest design to make it so narrow in the bot mode as opposed to the alt mode. The wide chest in the bot mode is something that Takara's release suffers from. So it's really awesome that they were able to do that with the chest. It's also awesome how they were able to keep the spoiler and car bumper from being split in the middle at the back when you put it into car mode, but this makes his legs not accurate, as we saw with the cartoon accuracy. So I'm going to have to take away half a point for that. Transformation, I've done the transformation to bot mode a couple of times now, and it's a decent one. There's some flex forming, and I don't know if you can do without some of that, so I'm not going to take away any points. And it's not really a problem, but he does tend to teeter back and forth a bit when making him strike a two-footed pose. Those feet don't exactly go flat very easily. It might have something to do with him being a more lightweight bot, but I am going to take away a half point for that. So overall, engineering gets 9 out of 10. Materials. Like I just mentioned about his weight, this is a medium weight bot, mostly due to his legs and feet. There's a lot of plastic in those legs, and his toes are die-cast. The plastic feels good and seems to have decent flex where needed. No stress marks so far, tires are rubber. So I'm going to give this a full 10 out of 10. MP scale accuracy. Technically too tall according to the freelance graphic scale charts, but good enough for my collection. However, since it is too tall, I'm going to have to subtract a point, so this gets 9 out of 10. Playability. The posability of this guy seems great. The extra sideways knee articulation is a fun option, as I mentioned, but as far as being a great toy with great toy features, he's got a load of cool weapons. And the flip-open headlamps are a nice feature, which aren't available on Takara's official MP12. So this gets another 10 out of 10. And finally, sculpt. Definitely nice detail in the alt mode. In bot mode, sculpted features are sharp, but some G1 character details are missing or inaccurate, like the lines on Sideswipe's forearms, the different design of the red forearm gauntlets, and the missing shoulder braces, blasters, cannons, whatever you want to call them. The facial features and head sculpt have good detail too, with a face that does a good job of being a robot face without being too cartoony. For the sculpt inaccuracies, I'm going to subtract 1.5 points, so this gets an 8.5 out of 10. So altogether, the scorecard for DX9 Red Storm V1, their homage to G1 Sideswipe, gets 8.5 out of 10. That's a solid score in my book. I think this is a good release. If you're interested in this, I don't think you can really go wrong. If you're waiting for Rambo, that's cool. It looks like it's got something above this when it comes to head articulation, for sure. Other articulation, I guess we won't really know about until we see it, but I've already got this guy. I've already got the MP12 land board, the official release from Takara Tomy. I've got the Bad Cube version, and I've got my Taos Formers version that I'm going to use in its secondary robot mode as the decoy for Sideswipe that I am naming Sidestep. I would love to have the head articulation that Rambo will have, but I don't know if I'm going to swing for that. That's it for this episode of MP Squared Reviews. I'm your host, Mike. Thanks for watching. If this is your first time watching, thanks for doing that. And why not hit that subscribe button? Hit that like button and leave a comment if you want to get in on any conversation that goes on or you want to tell me something. And if you've been on the channel and seen a video before and you haven't subscribed, then hit that subscribe button. Until next time, be good to each other and happy collecting, everybody.